Let's talk about the war in heaven, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Last Dispensation. I'm your host, Troy Abels. Once again, don't forget to share this program in your Facebook groups with friends, family, whoever. Share it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the program so you can get notifications and hit the notifications bell. It started in the premortal life. It didn't stop there though. And what did it look like? It looks exactly like it does today in Portland, Seattle, Chicago, etc. Satan also doesn't just use henchmen that don't have bodies. He uses servants that have bodies as well. Saul Alinsky was one of them. Karl Marx, Lenin, Stalin, Adolf Hitler. I can go on. He's got people today working for him. Saul Alinsky made a literary allusion to Lucifer as the first radical known to man in an epigraph to his book Rules for Radicals. Karl Marx wrote after a satanic revelation that I wish to avenge myself against the one who rules above. Many on the left like to characterize Marx, and I don't mean Groucho, as an irreligious socialist. However, Marx cared little about humanity and righting the wrongs of society. He was driven to rid the world of God, and it was only later that he seized on socialism as a method for enticing people into his anti-religion efforts. His true desire was destruction of God's creation. This quote was taken from Richard Warmbrand, entitled Marx and Satan. Then I will be able to walk triumphantly, like a god through the ruins of their kingdom. Every word of mine is fire in action. My breast is equal to that of the Creator. Sounds like Lucifer himself. But there are many just like him who want to exalt themselves above the heavens, just like Lucifer. The war in heaven didn't stop in heaven, and it looks exactly like it does today. Identical. I'd like to read from the website Latter-day Conservative. I've used them before. Latter-day Conservative Educational LDS Resources on Freedom and Liberty. This is entitled The War in Heaven Today by Ezra Taylor. President Ezra Taft Benson once said, every person on the earth, oh, by the way, I'll be reading and commenting. Every person on the earth today chose the right side during the war in heaven. Be on the right side now, he says. He said this February 1966. The doctrine of a war in heaven is not exclusive to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We can read about it in Revelations chapter 12, verses 7 through 9. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Though all Bible-believing religions recognize a war in heaven, the knowledge of what the war was all about is exclusive to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We read in Moses chapter 4, verse 3, wherefore, because that Satan rebelled against me, and sought to destroy the agency of man, which I, the Lord God, had given him, and also that I should give unto him mine own power, by the power of mine only begotten, I caused that he should be cast down. Above, we read the words of Ezra Taft Benson explaining the need to be on the right side of that war now. That war is not over. President David O. McKay said, there are two contending forces. Those forces are known and have been designated by different terms throughout the ages. In the beginning, they were known as Satan on the one hand and Christ on the other. In these days, they are called domination by the state on one hand, personal liberty on the other. From the words of the prophets, and I'd like to add that throughout the ages, since Adam and Eve, and in the Book of Mormon and in the Old Testament, there's always been the side that was basically ran by Lucifer, And it was always a side that wanted to dominate, control, and coerce mankind the way they wanted things to be. Satan has always, his plan is just like Marxism, socialism, and communism. He wants to dominate. He wants to control you, force you. He wants an Orwellian type society. From the words of the prophets, we see that battle isn't over, and where the battle lines are drawn today. We see that what Christ has fought for, continues to fight for, and asks us to fight for is freedom of the individual, personal liberty, like I just said. In fact, John Taylor said, besides the preaching of the gospel, we have another mission, namely the perpetuation of the free agency of man and the maintenance of liberty, freedom, and the rights of man. That was General Conference, April 1882. To magnify this point, the February 2006 Ensign magazine had an article written by Elder Shirley D. Christensen of the 70 entitled, I, the Lord God, make you free. In it he said, are we doing all that we should to preserve freedom wherever we live? The Lord has placed upon his children the responsibility of preserving their precious freedoms. The Lord made us free, and he instituted governments to protect us in our freedoms. See D&C 134. Is there a specific governmental structure that he has created to fulfill his purposes in this regards? The Lord tells us in D&C 101, 77 through 80, the laws and constitution of the people which I have suffered to be established, that every man may act in doctrine and principle pertaining to futurity, according to the moral agency which I have given unto him, that every man may be accountable for his own sins in the day of judgment, and for this purpose have I established the constitution of this land. Reiterating the Constitution's importance, President David O. McKay said, and recently Elder L. Tom Perry reiterated, next to being one in worshiping God, there is nothing in this world upon which this church should be more united than in upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States. That was said in 1987. Unfortunately, sometimes we think this is engaging in politics. President Joseph F. Smith had something to say in those regards. There has been a tendency among some Latter-day Saints, even when the Constitution is mentioned, to say, there he goes talking politics. I am not talking politics. I am quoting the words of the Lord. Joseph F. Smith, April 1946. The Constitution is the word of the Lord. Why would we want to skim by or ignore such a thing as this? Why do we need to be united in upholding and defending the Constitution? Why does it need defending? No one would want to attack or weaken it, would they? The prophets have some revealing insight on the matter. In General Conference, President J. Reuben Clark, Jr. of the First Presidency said, I say unto you with all the soberness I can, that we stand in danger of losing our liberties, and that once lost, only blood will bring them back. And once lost, we of this church will, in order to keep the church going forward, have more sacrifices to make and more persecutions to endure than we have yet known. Heavy as our sacrifices and grievous as our persecutions of the past have been. That was Conference Report, April 1944. President Clark taught us here that our freedom is under attack. What is the cause of such a threat to freedom? We will find out in part 2 of The War in Heaven today. And there are 3 parts to this program.